everyone, my name is Riley K. Jones. I'm a writer, teacher, and author tuber, and today we're going to go through my bookshelf and see how many books that I still have to read. So we're going to actually calculate how many books I have read versus not read. There are going to be a few disclaimers on my shelf, which I'll explain later. Let the counting commence. Some of these books are a mix of like middle grade and YA and classics. So those classics range from anywhere from Jane Eyre to also Agatha Christie. So like Agatha Christie, I would say is a classic. Okay, we have calculated the results, and this is how many books I have on the shelf that I've read. That is 102 books. Which is a lot of books. Some of these books I have had since high school that were the series that I was just loved and could not part with. So that is some of those numbers. I did leave out a few books that are my husband's that I won't be reading that are also on the shelf. But the books that I own personally that I've read is 102, and the amount of books that I did not read or still have to read that's on my shelf is a whopping 52 books. I did not realize I had that many books on my shelf that I have not read yet, which is quite shocking, and I'm sure there's a couple books just scattered on the house that I still haven't touched yet, so we can round the number up to like probably 65 maybe. But something that I did find interesting, and I thought that the color of the book cover might impact the amount of books that I read, and I thought that was an interesting hypothesis. So as I was counting, I thought for sure I read more red books than I would have read any other type of books, because I felt like last year, like all of my book covers had some sort of like red vibe to them, so I thought maybe I'm more attracted to red covers on books. However, as I was calculating, the blue/purple shelf, which is this one right here, I have read more on this shelf, but there's 24 books here, and I read 20 and I did not read 4, so maybe I'm more drawn to the purple. I don't know, take that as you will. I know like blue and purple are more like calming colors, whereas red are very passionful colors. And I guess like if you combine some of the red with some of the red on both shelves, it probably would be closer to a similar amount as well. So red book covers and blue, I just tend to really fall into. The least amount of books that I read on a shelf was actually my brown that goes into black section. I guess those colors I'm not really like big into, but there were also, I only read 5 out of those shelves. There were some other books that were my husband's on that shelf, but I've also not read 6 books, so that definitely was more books I wanted to read than actually read, so there's that ratio. That was very fascinating for me to see that I have 58 books that I still want to read that I have not read. So that kind of motivates me to like how many books do I buy a year or ask for as presents versus how many books I'm actually reading. A lot of these books I picked up from thrift stores. Some were birthday presents or Christmas presents that I just never got around to reading yet, and I'm like, dude, just read them, like just get them done. So some of my reading goals this year is to get through some of these books. Some of these books are older, like YA/middle grade, like the Percy Jackson series. I still have to finish that series, as well as Divergent, but I did find my library has an audiobook of those, and those books I have gotten from like thrift stores since they're older. So I have no problem. I'm gonna try to listen to some of those books while I do chores and while I do different errands, so that way I'm trying to knock down these not read like goal down, and then maybe get rid of books because we are going to be moving soon. So that being said, have you guys ever calculated the amount of books that you own, and have you ever try to like see like how many books you actually haven't read, because this was revealing to me and I'm like, wow, I gotta get reading. Like I buy a book and I put it on my bookshelf and I'm like, dude, just read it. And I mean, like if you think about it, like I try to read 20 books a year. I have enough books for 2 years according to that timetable. So I gotta get cracking on my book reads. So have you guys ever tried to calculate the books, how many books you read this year alone, and how many books do you own? How many books do you need to still, that's on your to be read list? Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you haven't already, click subscribe. I release all new videos on all things writing and reading every Thursday. Keep writing, keep reading, and stay creative. Bye.